welcome everyone. Welcome to the Art of Creation show, where we look at how choice creates, and different possibilities for creating a life and a living that can actually work for you, whatever that is. So I am your host, Rebecca Boswell, and today we're joined by our guest, Heather Nichols. Heather Nichols, while it doesn't even look possible, she has been playing with changing and loving up on bodies for over 20 years and creating amazing and dynamic change with beings, bodies, all sorts of things over that time. I'm sure even more than that, but we'll just put it there with a little plus. So today we have an amazing topic. Creation is an inside job, which, yes, brilliant. And I'm wondering when the book is coming out, because I'm like, oh, that is so a book title. So, I wonder. So Heather, thank you so much for being here today in the capacity of facilitator of ease, of joy, of glory, of being who travels the planet, having more fun than has ever been thought possible. And thanks for being here.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. And I actually don't even think that my phone is actually plugged in.
Oh.
So
perfect.
I'm so sorry. Hey, Brian, can you bring me an extension cord? Because this isn't working. No, but I have. Oh, okay. Sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah, no worries.
We don't, with Facebook Live, you don't have like prep time,
Yes, that is the beauty of pre-record.
Yeah. So we're just making do. A tripod and a fully charged phone would be amazing things to have right now, but I don't. So it's okay, because creation is an inside job. And so we're going to talk about that.
I love it. I know. So, and I was looking at that. I'm like, what is that actually? It's like, oh, wow, it's anything you make it, right? It's like that whole spirit of creation. And what is it? Hi, Andrea Lynn. Hi, Jackie. How are you guys? So,
and that's actually like one of the things that I love. I mean, this is like something that Access Consciousness has really given me is like the willingness to roll in any situation, and it's like, I've been on like telecalls with, Gary Douglas and Dane here in the founders of Access, where they're, Gary's like accepting packages from the UPS guy at his house while he's, the thing is over there, while he's on a telecall with, 300 people or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just that's part of, to me, like a huge part of creation is just that it's, I can't even tell if it's charging. I have no idea. We'll see. If my phone dies, I'll come back, okay?
Yes, perfect. Then we'll roll with it. It'll just be a wonderful example of rolling with it and how it is truly possible in any situation.
Yeah. But that's the thing is it's just life, and if you don't make it significant and you don't make a big deal out of it, I mean, my kids are constantly interrupting me when I'm doing stuff, and it's just like, yeah, we all actually, like, nobody has a sterile life,
Yeah.
And business to me, like, used to be this thing where you had to sort of like prove that you were like everything
professional.
Sterile. Yeah, exactly. I'm professional, which means I don't have anything else going on in my life ever other than this,
Right.
And it's such a cool, to me, just like an invitation to, it's like anybody can do business, everybody can do business, because it just means that you're living your life.
Yeah. Well, and can everyone live their life? So maybe that's part of what this invitation is. It's like whether you have a business or whether you think you have a life or don't have a life, creation is an inside job. I mean, the first thing that comes up for me is like, where are we looking outside of ourselves? And even that whole thing of like, I am now a professional. I have all my stuff together, and therefore you shall hire me because I'm perfect and I'm amazing and I look great. And so you want what I have, and you can't have it, but you can come and pay me, and maybe you'll get some of it. And and it's like, as much as we're doing that, looking for all these things outside, what are we actually creating? And are we actually living? And we may be creating a picture of a life that we think we'd like to have, but is it actually what we desire? And is it actually something that works for us? So I love what you're saying. And really just what I hear you saying is that you've given yourself permission, not that we ever need permission, but how many of us have thought that there is some sort of permission required to be able to say, oh, wow, I get to actually just be me. And I get to do this the way I'd like to do it. And I get to be what I'd like to be. And even if it doesn't match, what I see on the cover of Forbes or, Fast Company or, whatever, those probably aren't even great examples because they're kind of already doing some other things. But, that it gets to be you. And whether it's making building a 6-figure plus business empire, or actually having a sense of what it's like to be alive in your life and not just struggling to create a picture of a life that might work for other people so that nobody knows that you are having absolutely no clue on how to be living.
Right, totally. And
so
sorry, I'm looking for another charger.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Claudia. Yeah, unicorns just fly through space. That's right.
I'm flying through space with my charger. Yeah, and let me just.
When Catherine was on last week, she couldn't figure out why we couldn't figure out why we couldn't hear each other, and then she realized that her cordless earphones were playing in the bathroom. So,
oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah. So we got to see her house too, also in Colorado. So we're
this is my Seattle house actually. Okay.
Oh, right, you're in.
I have to take my case off because no chargers actually seem to be working right now. There isn't a way for me to now jump on from my computer? Is that?
I wonder. I mean, my understanding is that when you're with two separate people, that it only works with the iPhone. Yeah.
All right. Well, hold on.
Maybe the cord into your laptop. Sometimes the bricks are faulty, and maybe the cord just into your laptop would give it juice. Oh, so she's gone. Okay, cool. So, all right. So one of the things that I'll just talk about a little bit while we're waiting for her to come on. Creation is an inside job. So, like, even in this brilliant example, right? Like, I know that. So I started coaching in 2008. Okay, so 10 years ago. Wow. And uber over prepared, and was always really concerned about having everything right, and would have like lesson plans for my workshops and everything, like, and I'd stress about it, and then in the end, the more that I would just show up, I realized none of that's required. Like, I actually have everything that I require here. I know what I know, and really the gift of what I'm bringing is listening to what's going on. Okay, you're back. Cool. Listening to what's going on and being present with the people that I'm with. And let's see, it's not letting me add. So Heather, I see you on the live in the comments, but I can't actually add you to the chat. The add button is no longer there. So I wonder if you're on your computer or if you're on your phone. So yeah, I guess if you're on your computer, it does not allow me to add you. So if there's some way to get onto the computer, rather on the phone, that would be awesome. So I'll just give you a minute to see. Maybe you can plug the phone charging into the laptop and in case the charger issue is something with the brick. Okay, cool. So, so anyway, I would get, do all this to get prepared until I started to realize, oh, it's actually like what I bring, what I'm being in this workshop, that's actually the gift here, is actually the valuable product here, not the pages and pages of notes and saying these things exactly perfectly. And so the more that I could really trust that I had what was required in any given situation, and that if I didn't have some piece of information or whatever, that I could get it. And and then it was also okay to say, I don't know. And let me see what I can learn here. Let me see what else is possible. But this whole creation as being an inside job, when we are, when we're always looking outside of ourselves, all right, always looking for validation, always looking for approval, always looking for, positive feedback, or looking to get a particular result in a particular way all the time, we're actually allowing everything outside of us to determine what and who we be and are. And so when I would mess up or have the perception that I messed up or whatever, that would be a big blow, because I was giving all of my power away to everything outside of me. And now what we begin to see is that as you really create and allow it to be an inside job, what you're doing is you're actually bringing all of the things that are you. And, we say it's inside, but I mean, it's, all of you, all of it. That you are, it's like this perpetual creation machine that you are being. And it all goes out. I mean, if things don't go exactly the way that you had planned, it doesn't change who and what you're being unless you allow it to, or unless you choose to make it, and you become the effect of that. So all of this to say that, let me just check here. Okay. So all of this to say that, that when we have our own back, or when we truly are coming from this place of personal power, or of being, everything that you are willing and daring and courageous enough to be, then that is where you get to actually be in full and total creation. There's no more hiding. There's no more kind of, sort of, creation lighting, just a little bit of creation at a time. Okay. So while we're still waiting for Heather to come back, anybody who's watching, where have you noticed? Because there can be all these sort of sneaky places where we kind of, oh, here we are. There you go. Okay, great. We're to seep out and give, hi Jennifer, give our power away to outside sources where we, allow other people's judgments or things to be more real than maybe what we know. So, I was just talking a little bit while you were gone. So welcome back.
I now have a hands-free situation and a charging phone. How does it get better than that?
Yes, how does it? Yay, and we get to see your smiling face. So, yay,
oh
I'm
my
happy.
Gosh, thanks for
hanging
with me.
Yeah, well, and it's actually brilliant. It really is. This is, the things we create, right? What gift is this actually? Because this is the kind of thing, right? Where like if I love that question that you had in one of your recordings that we shared earlier in the week. Are you committed to spinning out in your mind, or letting your head spin out, or are you committed to actually being the space of you? And it's that thing of like, when things kind of go a little bit off, can you still be you? Can you still just roll, like you said, roll with it? Like before, I get so like uptight and oh my gosh, and everything's over, and how do I fix it? And I wish it didn't happen, and yet like it's only a thing if you make it a thing.
Yeah.
And that's the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just even asking questions, like when we spin out, you know, when there's like stress and, you know, and we're like spinning out around what's not working or whatever, then we don't actually have the space to ask questions and to actually go, because when you ask, I mean, finally I was like, ah, and then I went, okay, what else is possible? And then it was like, boom, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like, if you look at creation as an inside job, it's like, that's the acknowledgement that we are infinite beings and we have so much available to us. And one of the greatest tools that we have in access consciousness and as beings is to ask, you know. And when we begin to ask, it's like this recognition, like every question that you ask is an acknowledgement that there is so much more than you going on, you know, or than what you think you are. And it's this invitation, hey, universe, okay, I'm an infinite being. This is an infinite universe. Show me, you know, what can I create here? What can I be? What else is possible? And then the universe can really show up and play.
Yes. So you have been playing a ton with the universe, with all kinds of things and people. And I know you just started a new the summer living series. Super awesome. The links to all of that will be in the show notes when we post this to YouTube and have the links. And then also it was posted earlier this week, so you'll find it on this page a couple days ago. But can you tell us a little bit about how that was born and kind of invite us into and show us this kind of just like your piece in looking at how all this works and really this creation of living in your world. What is that, and what can we all begin to perceive of what's possible for us to choose this summer, you know, with your series, or even just, you know, in the small and in between moments in our everyday lives?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Great. Thank you. You know, I love that question because it actually, so I'm doing this series and it's called Creation of Living Summer Series, and it's Summer Camp for Hedonists. Creation of Living is something that it's a series that I do every so often, and it's just different topics basically that are like really like specific, super different conversations that really expand the space of creation as an inside job and expand our connection with ourselves and what we're willing to be, so that what we create can really become greater. And this is this summer, you know, one of the big demands I've had in my own world in the past few months is, I would say maybe like 6 months, is I am having ease, I am having joy, I am having levels of happiness that are not allowed on the planet, no matter what. No matter what. I got to this space where I was creating a lot and I was doing a lot. Keyword there being doing a lot. And there was a lot going on, and it was like supposed to be fun, but I was so stressed out and busy and like, ah! You know, and I just got to this like demand where I went, nope, you know, I know that it's possible to wake up every morning just ridiculously happy to create and be alive and to create things beyond, and just to like have way more fun with my life than I have been having and have been willing to have. And I mean, I have a great life, you know, but it was just this sense of like more, you know. And so that's really where this series was born. And one of the things about creation in general is that for me, the way that I create my business is there are just these conversations that start to ping in my world and I become aware of as a possibility. And then they kind of like start talking to me, you know, and I just start to have these conversations with like the elements of creation and the energies that I'm aware of, and as you know, part of my business and my life. And it's like, oh, this thing wants to be created. Oh, okay. oh, hedonism, let's play with hedonism. And then I start seeing all these things about hedonism, and that topic starts popping in my world, and it's like I get more information, and it's like, this is how it works, you know, is you become aware of something, and if you just start interacting with whatever it is, like the energies that you're aware of, it's like it's like there's this space that just keeps going, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. If you're present with you and you're present with the energies that you're aware of in the universe, it's like it just continues to expand and expand and expand and expand, and more and more and more. And there is actually such an ease with creation when you function from that space, rather than I have to force something to happen, I have to make something happen, I have to, it's like, no, it just goes.
Yeah. So I was curious about the word hedonism.
Yeah.
And I get that you are perceiving a lot more than what may initially pop for people.
Yeah.
When they do the word association game. I know if I was going to play it outside of this conversation, I was going to play the word association game. I would, like, the first thing that pops is that resort. I don't even know if it still exists, but I think it's the resort is literally called hedonism. And it's like a naked resort.
Oh.
And I think they have different places around the world, and it's all about, whatever hedonism is. And so, consciousness includes everything, judges nothing. And I get that there's a whole other space to what you're actually talking about. Not other, like there's more to the space of what you're talking about than just maybe the small little blip of a definition that people may be hearing if they've not spent a lot of time with the energies that you're playing with.
Yeah.
So would you be so kind and to break it down for the rest of us, and for anybody who that might kind of go like, what, hedonism? That's not me. Curtain down, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So let's open that door a little bit. Yeah. And so just what do you perceive with that? And what is available there? Especially for those who are like, that's scary.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. I love doing edgy stuff. So here's another thing. Yeah, well, and that's actually, I'm so glad you asked that, because I get that it's edgy for some people, and I also kind of forget that sometimes. But because hedonism actually has an enormous amount of judgment around it. In this reality, like you're slovenly, you're lazy, you're greedy, you're selfish, you're self-centered, la 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 la. So I don't know if you do any clearings, but everything that is, let's just let that go.
Yeah, whatever. Everything is free form, and we just say that if you do a clearing, so if Heather uses the clearing statement, it's from Access Consciousness, and you can go to theclearingstatement.com to find out what that garbledy-gook is, and basically it just changes things. So if you're throwing a bunch of energies in the pot and you're ready to let go of them, you throw it all in the pot, and then it just kind of incinerates it. So
yep. So
as you will.
Everything that you've decided that hedonism is and isn't, and everything that you have, all the walls and the barriers that you've erected in your own world around it, will you destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, puck, punch, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah. So, and it's funny because I put this series up, and then this quote popped up on Gary Douglas's page, the founder of Access Consciousness, that said, I don't remember it exactly, but basically that hedonism is this, it's actually like a natural space of being for us, and that it is the awareness of everything as magic and possibility. So the awareness of, and actually like the in a way sort of the point of view that everything can be possibility, and everything can be magic. And now I would throw into that also like the choice to have pleasure, joy, ease, and beauty. It's this like appreciation of beauty and value of beauty and pleasure and joy and ease that doesn't exist in this reality. So there's this real, to me, there's this like deliciousness to that space of like, yeah, I'm gonna value. I value beauty. I value pleasure. I value ease. You know, those three energies alone are just so wrong in this world.
Yeah.
You know? They have no value.
Especially the pleasure piece. I mean, it's almost like when you have too much pleasure, you haven't had enough pain. Like this whole thing of like having to earn your pleasure and not having too much pleasure because of whatever that means.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is, you know, you can have your cake and you can eat it, and there's so much more than just cake if you just open your eyes to it.
Yeah, and it comes in like because the creation of living stuff that I do, it's you know, so far it's always been a bunch of different like one-time calls and energy pulls and different things, and you can do any of them or some of them, or you can do all of it. And so we started actually with this amazing conversation a couple days ago. The first, it was a one-time call, and it was called Cha-Ching, Using Judgment to Your Advantage. Now, to me, having that conversation of receiving judgment, which is something that we talk about a lot in Access Consciousness, like being aware of judgment, not functioning from judgment, and receiving it, actually, being willing to receive judgment that's coming, you know, from other people or whatever. And to look at that from a hedonistic point of view, like, what is the possibility? Now, if we look at the, you know, Gary's definition of a hedonist is somebody who actually sees possibility in magic and everything. Now, if you look at receiving judgment from a hedonistic point of view, what would be the possibility and the magic in judgment that might be coming your way? And speaking of creation as an inside job, we dove into this conversation that was basically about how, when we're willing to receive judgment from the world around us, and receiving of judgment doesn't mean that you're going to like take it in and hold on to it and now it's part of your world. It actually just means whoop, you know, letting it pass through, being aware of it, being interesting point of view with it, and just going, oh yeah, there's that, like not throwing up walls and barriers. And we dove into this really amazing conversation about how when you're willing to actually use the judgments that come your way from other people as a constant possibility for you having more of you, by going barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. I'm not giving me up, because as soon as you throw up barriers to judgment, you lose you. You lose your capacity to create. You lose the space of being that you be. You lose receiving. You lose the beauty and the joy and the pleasure of and the ease of life. You lose the magic. You lose you when you defend against other people's judgments. So what if we could actually have this space of, anytime there's judgment coming our way, going, I'm going to use this. I'm going to see this from a hedonistic point of view, and I'm actually going to use this to have more of me right now. I'm going to practice dropping my barriers and having no barriers so that I get to have more of me out of this situation, however uncomfortable this judgment might be.
Yeah. Now, can you think of something that has occurred in your life recently where you know you've been able to apply this so that, you know, those who are watching can get a sense of where they can really use this in their lives, if some of the words are you know, sometimes we hear things and it's like, oh, that sounds really good,
right? No, I do that.
But like, can you show us how that has worked, so people can really see, okay, okay, next time I'm in that situation, I can try this different thing.
You know, just yesterday, and it was such a, like, I think before this conversation about judgment, I would have probably missed this. So I went to the store yesterday, and I was interacting with this woman behind the checkout, And she was like flinging, like she looked at me. She sort of like looked me up and down. And I just saw like all the judgments go in her world. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
And it was just like, you are this, 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 you know, and total judgment. And I also saw her judgments of her, you know, and so anyway, I went, okay, barriers down. Like in that moment, I just went, right now I have a choice and I'm going to lower my barriers. And a huge part of this conversation that we had the other day was also like, not to actually go into judgment of other people when they judge you. That was like one of the biggest pieces of that, because we do that. Like if somebody's judging us, we automatically want to judge them and make them wrong for judging us. But we're doing the same fucking thing, you know? There's no end to judgment when that's the reality on planet Earth, right? It doesn't stop anywhere. It just keeps going and going. You perpetuate it. So what if you could be this space of going, okay, there's judgment. I'm actually not going to play that game, you know? And so that's what I did. I didn't judge her for judging me. I just went barriers down. And then I just went, kind of was this energy of like, hi, like total vulnerability with her.
Yeah.
And it changed my energy totally. And it didn't actually change her energy, but I wasn't actually looking. I mean, I was willing for that to occur, but I wasn't looking for that. Because you know, you never know what sometimes that actually pisses people off even more, because people use judgment to try to control each other.
And it doesn't work.
So when you're vulnerable in the face of somebody's judgment, it doesn't work. And they're like, sometimes they actually turn it up, you know? So anyway, I went lowering my barriers right now, which you can just even ask. So the like logistics of that was just going, okay, I'm asking to lower my barriers right now.
And sometimes even with our physical bodies, like I know when I was first playing with this, I could even just check in and be like, oh, okay, what if I actually had these barriers physically in my body, what would that be? And I'd be like, oh, okay, wait, my shoulders are up. Oh, wait, the back of my neck is kind of like tight. Oh, my chest is pulled. So it's like, oh, I can even physically do it and ask, you know, and ask for it now to be actually what I'm being. So it's another way in there too of like, if it helps, or if it's easier for you to go through your body and access then the being and the energy through the body. That's another place too.
For sure. It's like a relaxation of everything. Your body, your mind, your world, your
points of view.
Your points of view. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also going, okay, I notice that I want to go into judgment of this woman right now, you know, or defending or wanting her to understand me or whatever it is, you know, I'm not going to do that. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view, another tool. That's one of the key tools for this, you know, it just creates allowance, which is the opposite of judgment.
Yeah.
And what was so cool is after that occurred, so I don't think it really changed her world much. And you know, what would it take? But it changed my world. And I turned around and the whole store was suddenly magic. And this little girl was walking by me with her mom, and she just looked at me. And she as she was walking by, she kept her eyes on me and she was smiling at me and she goes, hi.
I see you.
Totally.
I get you. Yeah.
It was amazing. And I was like, oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was like, hi. Like I got to show this little girl this totally different space. And this was such a magical child and so unfettered by mental crap and judgment. That she saw it and she got it. And there wasn't any verbal exchange required. It was just like, she went, magic. I know what that is. And I was like, yeah. And then I just like, I walked away and I was like, you know,
Yeah, and all the things that we receive there, right? Because I mean, when our barriers go up, right? Like if we just kind of play a little bit with an alternate reality there, right? Like your barriers went up, you know, you were defending against the judgments, proving that they weren't true to yourself, then maybe even trying to prove to her that they weren't true, right? And then you have all these things going on, and then you took your stuff. You probably, the same little girl would have probably still walked by, and yet would you have been able to receive the magic that she was being, right? So it's like,
no. And I would have also in a way like been just another grown up,
yeah,
playing out the
grumpy
boredom
grown
and
up.
the limitation and the judgment and the mediocrity of this reality.
Yeah,
and driving home in her world that's
yeah,
just fucking what is, you know. And
yeah,
it's like she saw this possibility, and it wasn't even about me. It was like I got to, by being that space, like she got to see her, and
yeah,
there was this acknowledgement energetically of what she. Yes, that
yeah,
whole thing. Yeah, you know.
yeah.
It
Oh,
was
that is,
so cool.
it's so, because I mean, and we've heard it before, you know, you put the bars up on the window of your house, right? And yeah, okay, wait, so you're safe, but you know, the
Who's now,
bars work both ways. So
exactly, who's now living behind bars? Not the people outside of your house.
yeah, right. It's like you're actually the prisoner
Yeah,
inside.
yeah.
So so yeah, cool. So how much magic is there actually available to us in every moment as we are living? Like that's another thing where like you were consciously living. So instead of going into an automatic response system of like, you know, whatever these trained judgment patterns are that, you know, that we play with, you know, it's like, no, wait, one moment, I have a choice. Like you made that conscious, I have a choice, that
Yeah.
that there was that point where you're like, okay, and I'm going to now choose something different. And then that changes the whole course, you know, like the butterfly effect or whatever. I mean, you know, who knows what could have happened in that alternate reality? You could have been like so annoyed and fuming from all the judgments of that conversation. You could have gotten into your car and something else could have happened. You know, it's like because you weren't paying attention to where you were. Like you never know what could be created. And you always have a choice of, well, what would I like to create right now?
Yeah.
And there's always that choice of which path would I like to follow, or which path would I like to walk down?
Totally. And that's, to me, like that's hedonism, you know, is going, my reality is about magic and possibilities. My reality is about seeing the beauty in everything, you know. And this woman's, I chose to use this like pretty toxic judgment that this woman was trying to toss and impel into my world. That was probably, I mean, really, it's like I didn't really do anything. I just was there, you know. So I'm sure this is kind of how she functions. And I chose to take that and go, no, no, that actually stops here.
Yeah.
And because my point of view and my request for my life and for the world
Yeah.
is one of magic and possibilities and
Yeah.
beauty and ease and joy,
Yeah.
and all for all of us. And if
Yeah.
that woman in that moment had chosen to go, oh,
Yeah.
you know, and join me, I would have gone, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
let's play. It's okay that you
Yeah.
didn't judge me. No, let's
Yeah.
change it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how, so it's like this, we become this amazing invitation when we're willing to take that point of view and make that choice.
Yeah.
We become this amazing invitation to
Yeah.
this universe that most of us have always known. It is, you know, like Gary Douglas says in this quote that I don't remember, but that it is like this natural space that we be, you know. We choose that as a reality in those moments, and we go, yeah, this is actually natural to me, you know.
Yeah.
This is, and so I'm now going to I'm going to make that a greater reality on planet Earth. And if,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, this is like, okay, I might need my hopes and dreams bars run, but if we were all like, or a lot of us were willing to just move through the world totally unbarriered and looking for the magic and the possibilities and the beauty, what would we actually be creating, and how quickly could we change the world?
Yeah. Well, and you know, when you're talking about this exchange between you and the woman, you know, I get this sort of image of this baton being passed, right? And you're like, it stops with me. So
Yeah.
it's like she's trying to pass the baton to you, and you're like, I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
Game over, right? And if she was willing to take your baton and pass that somewhere, that now would have been a different baton that she was passing, and it would have been a totally different game that she was playing.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of, did you ever see, there's a video, and it's kind of like a play on the rose colored glasses, where like there's a pair of glasses and they just get passed along, and every time the next person puts it on, it's like this amazing, you know, it's just another amazing thing. And it's like, what if we were just like fiercely committed, right, to pass those glasses, or to pass, you know, this baton of like, of possibility and of kindness, and not even just like, I'm going to be nice to you, but like actually there is a space on this planet for all of us. There is a space on this planet for all of us to be everything that we choose to be, and to create everything we choose to create. And you know, when you turned away, and that girl walks by you and she sees that in your world, you know, you pass that baton to her.
Yeah.
And we never know what anyone's going to do with it when they receive it, but you know, how many batons can we pass out? Because
Yeah.
kind of makes more people, you know, have the possibility to play.
Totally. And it's this, we've had these conversations lately about engaging the molecules as like a huge part of what actualizes things, what actually brings things to fruition. We talk so much about creation, and creation is this like, it's going on all the time in a way that like whatever we're actually willing to choose is what actually, choice is what kind of sets creation into motion. And how do you actualize, how do you bring things to fruition so that they actually show up and they appear?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the access consciousness facilitators had this brilliant call with Gary Douglas a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago, about this. And one of the things that he was saying is, you've got to be engaging the molecular structure around you through your being, and the choices that you make, and the choice, like your choice to be something different. And that actually is this completely nonlinear, non-rational, non-explainable reality of actualization, where we're engaging the molecules everywhere to actually contribute to us, contribute to what we're creating in the world, what we're asking for, and to contribute to making the world a greater place. And so when I look at this interaction yesterday, it was like, that's what was occurring is, and I've just been asking for it, you know. So it's not like I'm walking around going, what molecules can I engage, you know, because that's way more of a doing. It's like the being, which is the question of, who can I interact with today? Who can I talk to? Where can I go? This is kind of my question all the time. Where can I go, and who can I talk to, and who can I interact with today to create a greater different possibility, and to engage the molecules to contribute to me, to what I'm creating, and to what I would like to see as the world. Now that is a hedonistic point of view, you know, and it doesn't, it's like it showed up in this magical interaction that a month ago I would never have even, that wouldn't have occurred. I would have missed it. Like that was this huge possibility, and it's created this beautiful conversation, you know. And it's like, so the ripples of that are the engagement of the molecules for a different possibility. And this is why creation is an inside job, is because it is what we are creating in the world, and what we're being, and what we're actualizing is so energetic. We don't see it. We can't touch it, name it, taste it, feel it, you know, identify it. There's this energetic conversation going on all the time. And what is it that what are the energetic conversations that we are going to choose to be and to have? And when you acknowledge it, I mean, like that whole experience yesterday just got a zillion times greater from this conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's because I didn't even really talk about it. I just was like, ooh, cool. You know,
Yeah.
I got to receive it. And there, I got that other people in the store got to receive it too, without even seeing it or knowing about it. You know, it was just this energetic thing. But now, so this is how we engage with the world. And it seems, and, you know, so now in this conversation, it's like, so did that interaction yesterday and now this conversation, like, but did that interaction yesterday expand what I am asking to actualize in my life and in my business? Absolutely. Absolutely. More than me going at my computer, you know? And I'm willing to have that reality, which is a hedonistic reality.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to receive from fucking everything, no matter what it is.
Yeah. And, you know, and I get too, like for those bigger asks that, you know, the things that we're asking for, the things that like don't even make sense. And the things of like, you know, you're joking about whether you need your hopes and dreams bars run, but like how much of it is actually this awareness of what is possible with people? Even though, you know, sort of the dominant thinking is that, you know, Pollyanna's an idiot and anyone, you know, who kind of has any sense of sunshine and you know, butterflies is just like a lunatic, right? But like how, you know, how much does this conversation, you know, here's this little conversation about something that happened in a matter of seconds at the grocery store. And yet like, how often do we go to the grocery store? How often do we encounter another person, whether it's someone we know, whether it's a stranger, right? Like these are things that occur daily. And, you know, if nothing else, just recognizing that if everybody, you know, if everybody watching this has one different encounter, you know, like that already changes the whole future. I mean, it just for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, whether you want to go into explaining it on a psychological level or try and disprove, you know, like disprove it as possible, like whatever anybody's interested in, there is also that possibility of, yes, it can also, create far greater than we ever imagined. And at the very least, like what, you know, what does it create for you in your body, right? Whenever I make a different choice, and I recognize, oh wait, no, that's actually not my reality. No, that's actually not the pain. That's actually not the suffering. That's actually not the judgment that brings me joy. And I make a different choice. In that moment, it changes the whole course of, if not the rest of my day, at least the next 10 seconds, at least the next minute, at least the next 5 minutes, right? And so, you know, then in 5 minutes, you know, you're a completely different being than you would have been had you made a different choice. So like, you know, it seems almost like a nothing conversation, and yet when you really perceive it, it's an everything conversation.
Oh, that's brilliant. Meme.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that's this whole thing about creation being an inside job is that everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. We think that the things that are these solid things about doing and efforting and work and struggle and you know, these are the things that accomplish the things that we have, you know, and it's like, fuck, man, then you're just like pushing through concrete to try to get your life to occur, you know. And it's like when you turn your attention to the curiosity of, I'm at the grocery store, like what magic can I create, you know, just this like seemingly, like you said, like a nothing, you know, that's actually this, you begin to have just this amazing energetic awareness of what's occurring, you know, in the space, in the unspoken and the unsaid and the unseen and all of that, that is actually what's creating our world. And then being that and acknowledging that and playing with that and engaging the molecule, like it becomes it does become the everything. It becomes this like, oh, it really is an inside job. I don't have to say anything. I didn't really say anything to that woman. I just changed my energy. And I responded to her in a completely different way than anybody probably ever has. You know, and it was like, cool. You know, this is actually what's going on. And this whole reality has been created to negate that.
Yeah.
You know? And if we all go, nope, that's not my reality, you know. My reality is one of energetic. My reality is an energetic, predominantly an energetic. I mean, it is an energetic reality. And I'm willing to have the awareness and the acknowledgement that what actually is creating and actualizing as my life and as the world is the energetics, the energy, space, and consciousness of everything. Not the stuff that we think is like, oh, if you can see it, it's real, you know?
Yeah. If you perceive it, it's real, right? I mean, I perceive the energy of jealousy. So now I can either morph and adopt that and become that as well, and like, you know, put it back out. And I can also, or I can acknowledge it and I can change the channel. And I can actually change. And that's really like, you know, we change the molecules. I mean, you were literally, you know, like all the science that has not yet been given words to make it, you know, real in the scientific community. Like you are changing the, whether it's a frequency or a vibration or like everything has some sort of a signature, and you either continue to, you know, perpetuate that signature, or you choose to change it, and you dial it up, you dial it down, you stretch the wave out this way, you know, and it changes. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna play with the jealousy one. I'm not gonna play with the anger one. I'm actually going to now shift and change and bend it to be in this other space that is, you know, going to be ease with my body, is going to actually be joy, you know, for my being. And that's something that it sounds maybe poetic, and yet it is a choice. These are where we get to be, you know, the superheroes. Like this is it right here.
It's a choice. It's a hedonistic choice to go, there is magic and there are possibilities and there's beauty and contribution in every situation if I choose to have that as my reality. Everything can make my life greater if I choose to have that point of view, you know, and you know, and then the world becomes greater as a result. Your life becomes greater, makes the world greater, which is what they don't want you to know about hedonism. You know, that's why it's such a judged thing. It's like, no, you're not allowed to have that much joy and pleasure and magic, you know?
No, you're supposed to be humble, right? Humble and kind. But if I invite everybody to look up the definition of humble and humility, and just really check in if that's actually the energy that you'd really like to aspire to in the world. So just go and see if that's actually if it's actually fun and light for you, and if not, like, okay, so what else is possible? And whatever it was that you were looking to be with that word humble, like, what is it actually that you were looking for that is not being humble and is not humility that you thought it was? So there's just a little home play for you if you like. So we are at the top of the hour. Man, how fun.
Oh gosh, thank you so much.
So if anybody has any last questions or anything else that they would like or that you would like, please put it in the comments so we can see it before we close the conversation. We are going to, so later today, this will be uploaded to YouTube. We'll post the link. You'll have all the links to Heather's amazing new website, gorgeous. So you have all kinds of information there. Also her SoundCloud link, which is chock full of all kinds of things. Earlier in the week, I posted a brilliant piece. So if you want to listen to that for the money pool, you can. Also talks a little bit about interesting point of view. We mentioned that today in the show. Also, there is a free group. Also, the link earlier this week it'll also be in the show notes. Heather and Crystal Crawford, who will be our last guest of the season at the end of the month, they co-created a free group, open group on Facebook that you can participate in to play with that tool of interesting point of view. So if actually becoming more space of allowance, if this conversation has been fun and you'd like to play in that playground, you're certainly invited and welcome to join. Heather, is there anything else before we close today that you would like to share with our viewers today and also those coming in the future who are coincidentally also here right now as they're watching? Is there anything else that you would like to put out in the world in this 10 seconds?
You know, what if you are just far, far, far greater and more wonderful and phenomenal than you've ever recognized, you know, and there's nothing that you actually have to defend about you. You're brilliant the way that you are. And when you're willing to show up in the world that way, as we've been talking about, you know, that's what creates the magic, is you getting out of judgment of you and going, you know what? Here I am. I'm not perfect. You know, my phone is dying and I can't, you know, like everything in the beginning, you know, it's like so perfect, you know. And here I am. And what can I be that actually could create a different possibility today?
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And an invitation for all of us, like everywhere that we, you know, where it's blatantly obvious or where it's kind of sneaky, but all those places where, you know, we do get tempted into, you know, allowing something outside of ourselves or, you know, something that we think is bigger than ourselves to be larger than what we know is possible. You know, what would it take for this all really to be an inside job and not to keep searching for things all the time externally? It's fine to play with things and look for things and learn things, and awesome. And what if nothing of what you be is dependent on that or determined by that? Would you be willing to step into that space? So yeah, how fun is that?
Cool. Thank you so much. This was just such a gift. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, everyone, for watching. As always, you co-create these episodes. It's a magical, magical adventure for all of us. So thank you for playing. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed the episode, please look back. You know, Heather is a repeat guest on the show from our first season when we still were playing with Frank. So I will include that link in the show notes as well. And everyone watching, have a great week. I wonder what you'll choose next, and I wonder what all we can discover together. Thank you so much for playing. Bye.
Bye.